What's up, guys? This is Griever here. Now, I have 3 questions for you guys today. Number 1, do you like science? If the answer is yes, move on to question 2. Do you like manga? If the answer is yes, once again, then I have a question number 3. Do you like Dr. Stone? Now, if your answer to the first 2 questions was yes, then there is no reason not to like Dr. Stone. In fact, you should love Dr. Stone. Not only is it drawn by, in my opinion, the best mangaka artist of our generation. Sorry, One Punch Man fans, you gotta take a sit down because Sun Ken Rock has better art than One Punch Man. Just saying it, moving on. And here we are getting something grand. Now, ever since Shokugeki no Soma ended, a lot of people has moved on to a monthly serial and stuff, and I asked a lot of my subscribers, I said, what do you guys want me to review? I got requests for Attack on Titan, which I don't really follow for reasons, and a few other series, Gintama, but that actually ended and stuff, and I hadn't caught up with it by the time it had ended anyways. One of the big ones, though, was Dr. Stone. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll play around with Dr. Stone a little bit. But right now, I'm just playing the field. I did a Black Clover last week. It depends on what comes out this week. If Dr. Stone's more exciting than some of the other ones, then I'll do that, right? But I wanted to keep it within the Jump series, or at least the shonen genre for now. But then I realized there's another series I could do. 24 parts I could actually do. And that's because on, I think it was July 4th, July 5th, and I didn't really get a chance to watch it up until now, was Dr. Stone, the anime, is here. And I just watched the first episode yesterday, and some stuff happened after I watched it, so I wasn't able to do this review until today. But now I'm doing it. I'm going to push it out there. I'm going to put this out before we get the releases on Friday, because I really want to talk about and start this series about anime review episodes if I don't end up actually picking up Dr. Stone the manga. Just in case. I'm still going to play the field. I might do a review now and again. But for right now, since I haven't fully decided or committed to another manga series yet, there is something I can commit to because it's 24 episodes and I can do it. Season 1 of Dr. Stone. Let's just jump right in, ladies and gentlemen, for Dr. Stone, Episode 1 of Season 1. So in all honesty, I think this will be a relatively short review because there wasn't too much deviation from the manga. Usually, if you guys checked out my Revival of the Commandments, which was the official Season 2 of 7 Deadly Sins, I tended to look at each episode, find the things that were left out that were key later on in the series, or any lines of dialogue that were important, or scenes changed around, or anything like that, or scenes omitted completely. I used to look for those things, and that usually it would drag on the review for a couple of extra minutes. But here, though some scenes are changed around a little bit, just out of order, placed, in my opinion, 1 or 2, placed a little better and making a little more sense. For a quick example is the fact that, and once again, for you anime-only viewers of Dr. Stone, this may or may not be the review for you. I'm not sure how spoilery I'm going to be. I'm going to keep this very, very, try to be non-spoiler, non-manga spoiler, but you have been warned that there might be a couple of slip-ups now and again that I haven't even realized, so you have been fair warned as of right now. But first off the bat, my first noticing is the water droplets, the nitric acid actually dropping down on Taiju. Now, that didn't happen in the manga as far as I'm aware. That did not happen. Now, I did not reread the manga chapters before I did this review after watching the episode, but I don't really recall that. Not that it's a big deal, but it was that little bit of added thing that went, okay, like I don't mind it because it makes sense from what we find out later in the episode, so it couldn't have been that far off. I think it was like chapter 2 we found out what Senku decided, like, okay, this must have some relevance, this must be the answer to curing the petrification. So that was okay, but that was a little bit of an added thing. Another thing moved was the reveal, or the first appearance, I guess, of Shishio Tsukasa. No, not that Shishio, and no, not that Tsukasa, though I find it kind of funny or hilarious that two major villains, I'll call them, one being a major villain and one being sort of a pseudo-villain of two major series in Jump, combined parts of their names and make a new villain in Dr. Stone. That was kind of ironic. But so his point of showcasing when he was revealed as a stone statue and such, or a petrified human right now, it felt in a better place in the anime than in the manga. I'm pretty sure that it was just like a random event, like Taiju was just walking around and he went, oh, yeah, okay, that guy, and then just started talking about him randomly while walking down the river or something like that. I don't know if that was before he found Senku or after, but in the anime episode, it's when he's actually actively looking for mushrooms and stuff, so he would wander around and take his time. He wouldn't be all, haphazard, because I'm pretty sure it was first revealed like right away or something like that, before he saw Senku. It might have been after he found the tree. I'm not 100%, but as I said, because I didn't reread the manga chapter, but I felt like in the anime this felt better placed, and I can't really think of anything else. Everything else seemed to be pretty cool. I think that some of it, not filler, but they did fill out some of the scenes, like the time-lapse scene at... So why don't we just kind of go through a little bit? So, petrification happens, blah, blah, blah. Once again, guys, if you're anime only, this might not be the review for you, but I just really enjoyed the anime from a manga reading perspective, because right off the bat, as I said, we just jump into the action, just like the manga. We jump right into the action. There's a bit of a story going on right off the bat. It's no bullshit. There's just a lot of stuff going on, and I feel like they did a good animation, good time lapses, good all that stuff. Senku's hair is far more green than I would like it. Personal opinion. I love the fact that they've tried to copy Boshi's art style and all that stuff as close as they can. The animators have done a very good job, but his hair is mostly blonde, like a real blonde color, like Goku Super Saiyan color, or lighter than that, like almost old Super Saiyan color. I don't know, like when they're powered down, sort of that platinum blonde look. And then the tips are supposed to be green with hints of dark. It's not supposed to be like a little bit of blonde at the very beginning, like the length of my current hair right now, and then fading into green all of a sudden. I like, from the color pages that I've seen through the manga, the colorizations, that wasn't what I expected, and so I'm a little thrown off by that, because you barely see any blonde in it. It's all green. It's a light green going to a darker green by the end. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's a bit of a nitpick, but that's just me. The rest of the characters and stuff, well, the two of them, looked totally fine, and once again, the animation was fine. So petrification happens almost right off the bat. We know that Taiju is basically like, yo, I want to confess to this girl, and basically right before he's able to, the light happens, and boom, 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 we see everything, happen. Planes crashing, dams breaking, 3,700 years pass, the whole 9 yards, and Senku is woken up at the optimal time of spring, because waking up in the winter, of course, would have been detrimental. And here's a fun thing to think about a little bit. So they start practicing after Taiju wakes up. He meets up with Senku because he carved his, follow the river downstream, you big oaf sort of idea, which is what he always calls big lug head, muscle head, big oaf. He's always calling his friend that. And they meet up again. Good reunion. Senku's been awake for almost 6 months, and he's built himself a bit of a tree house, a bit of a lodging area, a few spears for hunting, some gathering baskets, a little bit of pottery, but basically the basics that he could do without enough manpower. As he puts it, like, there's a limit to what I can do. I'm not, big and brawn. I have the mind to do it, but I don't have all the strength and the manpower to get it done. So it's great you've woken up. We can start. They go through all this stuff. They find the nitric acid with the bat tongue and all that stuff, and he shows that he's been experimenting with this for a long time, but unfortunately it hasn't really borne any fruit, sort of idea, for lack of a better analogy there. And it's really cool to see this, because I'm curious, as I posed at the beginning of this little rant, I'm curious to the whole idea that some birds and small animals were affected and they were affected as we saw in the past when he tries to bring in, and his love interest, of course, Yuzi Ruru. I'm bad with names. I'm just going to wait until I hear it a few more times in the anime. But Taiju and his love interest, they both bring petrified birds, not realizing that this is like the foreshadowing to the big light that encompasses the whole earth. They bring these birds to the vet, and they're like, can you fix it? Like, clearly it's a bird disease or something, right? But yet a lot of the animals, like the dogs and the deers and things like that, are shown not to be affected. And then we see later on, like the fish and all that stuff, plant life, even clothes, as far as the anime shows, are not actually affected. So, what? Like I understand the whole the human things, but then there's some birds that are affected, some aren't, and Senku managed to find a lot of them to experiment on, as we see the whole shelf of them, all the failures, all the failed experiments. So it's interesting. It's interesting to note. So feed that into your guys' theories on what caused the light and all that stuff for anime only and stuff. And of course the manga. Do we really know yet? So that all being said, the rest of the episode goes, we see that they decide, okay, they find, mushrooms and grapes and all that stuff, and they're like, okay, we can make wine out of grapes and therefore make brandy and all this stuff. And all these things are actually true. I've made my own wine. It's very, very simple. And as Senku points out, this is really bad wine, but nonetheless still wine. And if you heat and cool and distill it properly, you can, of course, make brandy, which is a sort of a cognac and all that stuff. And this is all facts. This is so far all true scientific facts, and you could potentially do all this. It's very, very possible. So, and I like the fact that they show the failures, like the fact that his first attempt at the pottery and stuff, it cracks and breaks, because just because you understand the concept doesn't mean you can make it perfect the first time. It's not so easy. Now, apparently it took them over a year, but eventually, and we see the time lapse, and I like the music here, the music that plays, and they show the time lapse, and they don't need to dialogue the whole episode. They're showing a time lapse of what they're doing and how they're doing it. We see Taiju with a beard and stuff, and he's thinking, oh, it won't look good, even though he looks like a total beast mountain man, he looks like a badass. He doesn't, for some reason, like it, so they use the clams. Senku's showing him how to use a clam to kind of peel the hairs off, sort of idea, and he just goes nuts with it, and his face gets all, a lot of fun scenes like that, but it's all time lapse without any sound effects or dialogue going. And as we go through the winter and stuff, and we're back to a spring summer type of setting, and we see that it's finally after they've we see also a scene which is good of them getting frustrated. We see Taiju kind of sitting on the floor, hunched over, and Senku kicking a pottery bucket, sort of idea, damn, this one didn't work either, because what they're trying to do is combine the nitric acid from that cured them, Senku and Taiju, from the petrification. They're trying to combine that with the booze effect, the ethanol out of alcohol, to create a stronger agent that should be able to affect it. And they're trying with different measurements and all that stuff, I'm sure. And in the end, at the very end of the episode, we get the fact that he goes, ting, and the bird, and all that stuff. And there's a monologue. Senku does that a lot. He explains science, but he also monologues a lot. And this is, trying to go after that Sosuke Aizen feel with you, Senku. And he looks at it, and the bird, bursts up, flies away, and they're like, after only a year, this is exciting, this is exhilarating. We will get humanity back to where it was, which is a fun fact, because we also remember, no hate, only love, guys. No hate, but this is a good showcasing why heterosexual relationships are still a necessity for humankind. No hate to anybody who thinks otherwise or feels otherwise, or who is in a non-heterosexual relationship. But the fact of the matter is that, as Senku points out, humanity's doomed either way if we don't figure out a way to cure a few more humans with only 2 dudes alive. It just, life ain't gonna go on, Circle of Life will not allow that shit, Ian Malcolm, I need to get him on the phone, and he might be able to explain the whole life finds a way thing, but I'm pretty sure it's not with two dudes. So, I mean, that's just the way it is. And he even states, like, we will be the Adam and Eve, not in, of course, sexual sense, but we will be the starting. We will be the recreation of that grand story, and we will remake the world as we see fit and stuff. And, you know, it took like 2 billion or 2 million years or whatever it took for the, from Neanderthal life all the way up to where we were. Now we're going to have to cut that time down. We're going to have to make that like way, way less. But of course, with all the knowledge of all the millions of years of knowledge that the humanity had accumulated by that point, and of course Senku having a brain mass that rivals the greatest. Of course, it's a super mind. You know, he's basically a supercomputer when it comes to that, and having basically a Wikipedia up here is able to understand all these concepts, and he'll be able to fast track it. He'll be able to accelerate the process, so to speak. So, and of course, that's basically the whole premise of the manga, is that science will beat fantasy, and regardless of this setback of 3,000 years, because the year is 5,700 something, right? October the 5th, 5,736 or something like that, and so he's going to try to get them back to at least a point where they were at in the 2000s. But isn't that ironic? They're almost 4,000 years. And imagine what humanity would have been like by the year 6,000. And they've basically backtracked to a point that was before, back in BCE. So that's something that you really got to consider. Anyways, guys, that's basically the end of the episode. I can't really think of anything else to really talk about. As I said, I like the animation. I like the time lapse. Everything seemed pretty good. It seemed to flow with the manga storyline pretty good. I didn't really notice any deviations as far as I know. Once again, didn't reread the chapter panel by panel or anything to see if there was bigger changes. But I liked how the episode flowed. I really enjoyed it. The voice acting was really good. Once again, we didn't get an opening right off the bat, but I'm assuming what I saw at the end of the episode was the actual opening. And I'm not a fan. I'm not really a fan of the scenes or the song. Not that they're poorly animated, but I feel like they're giving a little bit away. They're giving a few things away anyways. And also, which is a big problem with openings. I feel like openings need to stop doing that stuff. Like, what happened to the old 90s animation? Because in the 90s, nothing was really spoiled, or they'd use like movie clips that no one ever used, and that way nobody was spoiled. Like, so I don't really get this whole spoiler-esque, One Piece, the new opening, One Piece opening kind of spoiled manga readers, if this is true, sort of idea. So, like, stop doing that. Like, Toei, Funimation, Fuji, all you guys, like, settle down. You can look back at some of the older animes and realize what they did right. You need a kick-ass song and some cool scenes that flow with the song. That's all you need. You don't need to tell a story with the 45-second opening. You really just don't. Not anymore anyways. We're hyped. We're watching it anyways. So, that being said, yeah, I didn't really care for that, but I assume that's the opening, but I haven't heard the ending song yet. Maybe I'll enjoy the ending credits. Assuming that is the opening. It seemed to be, so. Anyways, guys, that's the end of my first Dr. Stone Episode 1 review. A little haphazard here because I haven't done an anime episode review in a long time. I'm more used to manga, of course, or going into in-depth into a longer movie or something like that. So, forgive me for being a little haphazard, a little choppy here and there, but I hope you guys really enjoyed the Dr. Stone episode. Of course, you all watched it before watching this review, and I hope you enjoyed the review as well. So like, comment, and subscribe as always. It's always very much appreciated. This is Griever. I will hope to, I believe the next episode is coming out in the next day or so. I hope to get to it by the end of the weekend. As far as a review, it's not a big priority thing for me right now, this series, but if it takes off, of course, I will make it a priority. So remember to hit that like button, view the video, check the comment sections, talk about it, get a conversation going, and if I see it blooming a little bit more, then of course I will be that much more motivated to continue to bring this content to you as soon as I can. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Griever. Drink responsibly as always, even though we're not behind the bar. Yeah, it's a sunny day, time for a beer. So hope you're having a good one too, and we'll see you back here next time. Science is everything.